What is up, awesome people of the internet, and welcome back to a new episode of the Talking Sky with Mom podcast. This is a podcast where I talk to my awesome mom about what's going on in the world of the Chicago Sky, and also we kind of dabble into like general WNBA stuff as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hello. Let's kind of get started.
Hello, people.
And before we actually get started, let's talk about, let's give a rundown of what we're going to talk about. Okay. So, first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to do a Sky season in review. Talk about the good, bad, ugly, talk about some of the players, all that good stuff. We're going to talk about new coach and GM predictions. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to wrap up with GM Quita and GM Mama. Who we picking next year for the Chicago Sky? And then stick around until the end because we have a very special announcement to make. Mm-hmm. All right, Mama, let's get into it, right?
All right, let's go.
Okay, so the Chicago Sky. We had a pretty okay season this year, I would say. So the Chicago Sky end the season with a record of... Actually, I should have found this. I should have pulled this up before I started. Okay, so the Chicago Sky end the season with a record of 18 wins and 22 losses. And it wasn't as bad as people expected. So we finished in 8th place. It was projected by many people that the Sky would be either 10th or, worse than that.
Oh, really?
Yes. There was a lot of publications that were like, the Chicago Sky is going to suck this year. They're not going to make the playoffs.
So they said that from the very beginning.
From the beginning. And then James Wade was like, "No, we are not planning on being a bad team. We're going to be a very competitive team." Mm-hmm. And they were. But yeah, let's start with this. What were your expectations sort of going into the season?
From the very beginning, I had very high hopes. One of the reasons because I felt that we had a rounded team. I felt we had good offense and we had good defense. And the new players that came in, I felt they were going to give us some more energy that we lacked from last year. So I felt very good about this year and thought that they would still go to the playoff, but I thought they was going to be much higher ranked than 8th place. So... But we know what happened in between. But I'm saying from the very beginning, I thought they were going to be an excellent team, not just a good team.
So, like, you probably thought like third, fourth place?
No, maybe 6.
Okay.
5th or 6th place. But definitely not 8, just barely making the playoff. I didn't think that way because I thought they were better than that. I thought they were better than some of the teams they end up playing and lost to, and I didn't understand why.
Yeah, I, as a Sky fan, first and foremost, I thought the Sky would be better. I thought, I agree with you. I thought we were going to be like 5th or 6th place. As a realistic WNBA fan, and as someone who like just watches games all the time about like any team play, I actually think that the Sky fared better. Than I thought as like a regular person who likes basketball. Okay. As a Sky fan, yes, I was highly disappointed that we were in 8th place and I thought we could have been better. But the Sky was a team that was made up of a lot of mid-level players. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of mid-level pickups that the Chicago Sky did. And because of that, I was like, oh, as a regular observer of women's basketball, I was like, okay, the Sky's not gonna be very good. But as a fan, you really want your team to win,
right? And
you're like, we can do it. Just keep it together for a whole game. But of course, it didn't end up that way.
Yeah. But see, the reason why I think I was so optimistic is because those new players, they had a different. I felt they was gonna bring a different level of energy that the Sky actually needed. And I think energy, to me, brings points. I think energy, when you have a high level of energy, what happens is you play better. You tend to perform better because we do play this game on emotions. We do know that. Emotions is a big part of the basketball game itself. And I think even more so with females because we are females. They are females, and so they have a lot of emotions that they go throughout a game. So from the beginning of the game to the end of the game, they could have had 5 different ways of looking at things, and they shift, and it's like, well, you was just doing this good in quarter 1. What happened in quarter 3? It's like those kind of things that happen. But preseason, I was very happy to see what I did, how they played. Preseason, they did awesome.
They did really good. Yeah. We watched in person. We watched that Sky versus Indiana Fever game. And we got a look at what
we had,
what the Sky could look like.
Right.
And one of the pieces that we took a look at was Alanna Smith.
Yes.
Alanna Smith, she has earned herself a paycheck for next season. She has earned herself a very healthy salary for next season because Alanna Smith is a player that was cut last season. She wasn't really regarded as a talented big. Of course, she was good in college, very good in college, but in the WNBA, it felt like she wasn't living up to potential only because she wasn't really given a chance.
Okay.
And then for the Chicago Sky, when the Chicago Sky brought her in, there were people that were like, why'd you get Alanna Smith? She's not good. Like, there's rumblings around that, but
she proved them wrong.
She proved them wrong because she had to. Because remember, Alanna Smith was not supposed, she ended up ending the season as our starting power forward. That was not her role initially. Right. Izzy was supposed to be the player that was supposed to be the starting power forward. Isabelle Harrison got hurt. I think it was the preseason, wasn't it?
The second game, wasn't it? No, the first game. Was that the first game?
I think Rebekah Gardner got hurt the first game. Izzy got
hurt the first season game, not preseason.
Yeah, she got hurt the first season
game. Right. Izzy got hurt the first preseason game.
There we go. Izzy was supposed to be the starting power forward. In comes Alanna Smith to fill in that role, and she filled it pretty nicely.
Yes, she did.
She had a very good season, and I think that she has proven to folks that she belongs in this league. And if you give her the time and space necessary, she can perform really, really well.
Right. I liked the way she would attack that basket. You look at her and you're like, she's not really a power forward when you look at her. But the way she plays, you know that she is. And we've come to love her, especially the halfway part of the season. We saw her develop even more and more and getting more aggressive.
Yes.
And that's what we needed. A lot of times throughout the game, especially that third quarter, we needed that aggressiveness to help us to propel going forward and not going backwards. And she was always like that little spark. If everybody else was kind of like not playing up to par, she had a little spark that she would bring in. And it was nice. It was really nice. I like her.
Yeah. And I thought she had played very good defense. All around, she was phenomenal. And she is the reason why the Sky was number 8. She's the reason. Because she was that much of a she had made that much of a difference.
Right. She had that impact. One of the things we did see towards the middle part of the season, she stayed out of foul trouble so much.
Yes.
Because that was her real issue.
Yes.
The beginning of the season, it was a foul trouble. She just stayed in foul trouble, so she couldn't stay in the game to make an impact. But by the midway of the season, she learned to kind of like make sure she didn't get in foul trouble so she could be an asset to the team.
Yes. I completely agree about that foul problem. It was like early in the season, it was like, come on, girl, why are you going to foul? Well, some of that was like the referees kind of suspect.
But she knew that they were going to call certain things on her. So it was up to her to kind of like pull back a little bit.
So she got smarter as the season went on. So great job, Alanna Smith. I was very, very happy for her to be picked up for the Chicago Sky and how she produced.
Yes.
Another person that the Sky brought in this season was Courtney Williams. And you like Courtney Williams.
I love Courtney. Courtney is one of those players that was going to bring it to you. She going to bring it to you. And she has a level of energy that doesn't seem to stop. And she can look across that floor and she can do those passes like, how did she see that? and she gets the person in position so that they have an opportunity to score. I also like Courtney is towards the mid part of the season as well. She picked up her offense and she started becoming a real player in both ways, defense and offense. And it was nice because we needed that. And those mid-range shots that she would make, she even made a lot of threes going towards the end. I was like, Courtney making threes? Like, what is this?
A fun fact about those threes. Courtney Williams, I don't think anybody who watches women's basketball would consider Courtney Williams a three-point threat.
Right.
This season, she was a three-point threat. She was 44% from three-point line this season. Like, phenomenal from the three-point line this season.
Yeah.
I think she was the best three-point shooter for the entire team. And so, yeah, that was huge.
More than Marina, what's her name?
Marina? Yeah, Marina was 39%.
What you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait a minute. So the thing is, Marina, the early part of the season, she was hot.
She was hot and cold.
But what I mean is, I would say the beginning of the games. Let's say that. Beginning of the games, Marina was always hot. It was the mid part after when the third quarter hit, for whatever reason, if she didn't start out hot, she didn't get hot again. It's just, I don't know what. Again, I think those are emotional roller coasters. She was on a lot of emotional roller coasters. Yes. We saw it. Everybody saw it. And a lot of times she would kind of like take her own stuff out the game, go on the sideline like, this is enough right now. I'm coming out. So, but I thought she was the best three-point shooter on the team. But percentage-wise,
she wasn't. Yeah.
Wow.
But also, she took way more three-point shots.
That's true. That's probably why I thought. That's why I thought she was better. Her percentage would have been better. But you're right. If you're missing a whole bunch of them, but you still attempting them, but you still missing them.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was pretty interesting. I will say one thing about Courtney Williams is even with like the flow of the game, getting bumped, getting hit, all this stuff, she's like such a tough player that she's just never really wavered. And that was one of the critiques that I had about Marina Mabrey, is that the other team knows what to do to get her under her skin. Yes. All you have to do is consistently bump Marina. Consistently bump her.
She gonna get out of whack. She's gonna get out of whack, and she's like, I'm done. Take me out. I can't get my shot going. Blah, blah,
or
blah.
She gets so frustrated that she just stops playing because she's so mad at the refs for not calling it.
And the refs, be honest with you, they didn't call a whole lot of calls for her.
They didn't.
She was getting beat up a whole lot. Almost those, especially the first half of the season. She got beat up. The latter half, I wouldn't say necessarily so, but that first half, she got beat up because they didn't want her to be in a position to keep shooting those threes. So what they would do, they would kind of like shutting her down and taking her out of her rhythm, and then she wouldn't shoot. Yeah,
they kept bumping her, and that was a problem. But Courtney Williams is not a volume scorer. She's just not.
No.
She can consistently get you, 10 to 12 points a game. Sometimes she may have an exceptional game where she's like at 18 or something like that. But like, it felt like the other team couldn't really get Courtney Williams off her rocker.
Right.
It was just sometimes she just didn't have it, But it didn't feel like it was caused by the other team.
Right. It was just her own. Because sometimes I think she had to work so hard as the point guard that sometimes I think she overexerted herself. I think that's really, when you saw that she wasn't able to hit the jump shots that she, will always fall for her, you knew it was just, she was just be tired.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing I just want to note is that Marina Mabrey, it felt like Marina Mabrey was our starting point guard initially to start the season. Mm-hmm. And then at some point it sort of transitioned to Courtney Williams, and I love that transition. I before the season started, I saw Marina as our true point, she's not really a true point guard, but I saw her playing that role. Point guard. But it was very clear that like Marina Mabrey can only really be a shooting guard effectively.
Right.
And Courtney Williams, while she's not like the most traditional point guard, she can pass the ball.
and she took care of the ball, bringing it up the floor. The Sky never had to worry about, can she get it across the line in time?
Yeah.
She's going to get it across the line. And she was fast enough, too. She was faster, I think, than Marina, except when Marina got ready to go to the basket.
Yeah.
She was definitely faster. And that's what the other teams couldn't deal with a lot of times. I think she was kind of like sneaky in. Like, it was like she was like a sneaky player in a sense. You knew she was there, but she kind of like she does it so fast. It's like, what happened that quick? So I rooted for Courtney the entire season.
Yeah.
I was a Courtney fan.
I think all Sky fans became a Courtney Williams fan, just because he's just watching her play.
But when she played for the other team,
I couldn't stand her when she played for
her because she got under our skin. She did get under our skin. Mm-hmm. So I was like, when she became our player, I was like, now come on, get under their skin. Now I need you to do the same thing, but you with us now, so we got root for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definitely did not like Courtney Williams at all when she played for the Connecticut Sun. At all.
I know. But she was an awesome player.
She was an awesome player, but if she wasn't on your team, it's like, I can't stand you.
Yeah, I know.
Let's talk about somebody else who is a big favorite for Sky fans. Dana Evans.
Dana. We shouted Dana's name so many times during this season, especially when we felt like the coach it was her time to come in. Like, when you need that little spurt of some offense from your starters when doing it, it's time to bring Dana in. And sometimes he wouldn't bring her in. We'd be chanting her name, and they would look at us like, you ain't going to make me put her in until I'm ready to put her in. But towards the mid-range of the season, they did use her more often. Mm-hmm. So she just didn't stay in long periods of time, but she got in more often.
Yeah. Dana Evans is so beloved by Sky fans. It's kind of like a chant that a lot of Sky fans have. If you want to win, put Dana in. Like, this is what happens. Like, Dana Evans, she comes in the game, brings instant energy. Even there's some times that her shot was not falling, she still brought energy.
Because she's going to the basket.
She's going to the basket. She's shooting. Her defense.
Oh, her defense is just awesome. It's like when those other players, they be trying to get around her. She's like, you ain't going nowhere. I got you right here. I got you panned in right here. She is an all-around good player.
Yes. And one of the things that we know about Dana from like years past is like Dana can shoot some threes.
Yes.
This season, her threes were off. It just was. The whole season, she had some good games, but like overall, she's pretty bad from the three this season. However, she impacted the game in other ways. I think like in the offseason, it seemed like she focused so much on being a better defender and being better at driving to the basket that her 3-point shot suffered, which she's gonna correct in the future. I'm not worried about it. Dana Evans is awesome, but her defense and how she started off the season, full court defense, every game, full court defense,
and we needed
to start it,
and we needed that level of defense. We did.
She brought pressure. She brought intensity. And I really loved watching her defense. As the season went on, I think it kind of waned a little bit, but like it was really awesome.
It was noticeable
at the beginning.
No, but even throughout the season. Like her defense was noticeable because before this season, I believe we kind of like thought of her as offense only.
Yes,
we didn't think of her as defense at all. But this year, it was like, wow, she really has upped her game, if you will. Because she knows she could shoot. That was never really the issue. But that defense, the Sky could rely on her to give them good defense anytime she was in. Even if she wasn't shooting well, she's going to give them that defense.
She ended up playing around 21 minutes a game. So decent minutes. It's just that there were times where the minutes just weren't as consistent.
Okay, yeah.
And Dana Evans was a player that I thought had a solid contention for the 6th Woman of the Year award. She didn't win. I believe she came in third place. But I think if her minutes were a little bit more consistent, she would have had that because Dana Evans was the pack. Like, she was the whole package.
Right.
She could get to the basket. She could play some defense. Yeah, her threes weren't doing it, but she had 9 points a game. You know, she was pretty solid, and you could count on her to not be forced to take her out. Like, there's some players who, like, if their shot isn't falling, just take them out. They're done. But, like, Dana,
not with Dana.
Even if her shot wasn't falling, that girl was hustling.
Yes.
On defense. She was getting in their faces, causing them to miss, getting some steals.
And she knew it, too.
She knew it.
She knew what she was doing.
She knew it.
She wanted to get under their skin. Yeah, sometimes it was like, oh, Dana. And when she would hit those threes, the whole gym just lit up because it was like, woo, explosive.
That is the best thing to see in Wintrust Arena is a Dana 3. It just is. Like, yes, we want the rest of the Sky players to score and get some threes and all that stuff, but like, there is just nothing better.
It's something
than
about
Dana
the power
3.
that's behind it.
Yeah, it's crazy. We love us some Dana Evans, and we'll talk about the future in a sec. But like, in the future, I just always want Dana Evans to be on the Chicago Sky.
Yes,
like, she's amazing. I love her. Let's talk about our best player on the team, Kahleah Copper, our all-star this season. Ka was the lone returner, starter from that championship season that we had now 2 years ago.
Right.
And it felt like everything was on her shoulders this season.
Yeah, it was. It was a heavy load.
It was, but she handled it well.
She did.
She handled it very well. She was an all-star this season. I feel like in most metrics she was just very good. She averaged 31 minutes a game. She had around 19 points a game. Like, she was very good.
She was all around the player that the Sky needed her to be.
Yeah.
And you could see her influence over those newer players, how she was coaching them up, if you will, trying to make sure that they kept their heads in the game, and especially those teams that they knew they had to play at a higher level to win. She really tried to keep them intact, like, come on, we could do this. Let that go, you know? You can see it, but let that go. Don't worry about that. Let's play, you know? So everybody loved Copper too. So it's like, we've loved her. I've loved her. I'll say I loved her. But I think in all, I think most fans have loved Copper at least for the last 3 or 4 years now.
Because she's been with us for forever.
Yeah, and I love when she goes to the basket, her layups, her crazy layups, how they go in. It's just like, how in the world did you do that? Her crossover. Somehow she gets it in. Some of them don't go in, but a lot of her baskets fall.
So Copper, so y'all let us know in the comments what you think about this statement. But I feel like Copper has one of the most elaborate layup packages in the WNBA. Like, Copper, like there are a ton of ways to do a layup, and Copper has found just about all those ways to do it. Like yes, there's no real dunking in the WNBA, but like, to me, a layup package is like a similar thing to me. And Copper has that. She do some crazy stuff. I will say a critique I have about her is that sometimes she goes for the most complicated layups when a simple one can do. That's my only critique about her. She's great, makes some tough layups, but there are some times I'm like, you could just make it a simple one. Like, it don't have to be this complicated. Like, I know you can do it, but there's sometimes I'm just like, come on, just simple is good. Simple is good.
But she wants to put on a show.
She does. You
can see it in her eyes. She wants to put on a show.
She does.
And everybody know when she coming down that lane, They watch out, like they be trying to block her, and she do it another way, but don't even touch her. I'm like, you can't get her. You can't stop her because she going to the hole. Copper is going to the hole. Yes. That's her whole game. Now this season, I did see her shoot more threes than I've ever seen her shoot, because she's always been at the basket. Mm-hmm. But she did a lot of threes this year, so I think it kind of like broadened her game.
Absolutely. She was actually 40% from the 3-point line.
See?
She was, yeah. I noticed that too. And like in years past, I never really...
No.
I don't remember seeing Copper shooting threes like that.
I don't remember either. And she would do mid-range and always at the basket.
Yeah.
Because her whole game was, I'm going to the hole.
Yes.
I got the ball, I'm going to the hole. That was her whole mentality. And everybody in WNBA knew it.
But she got herself a 3-point game. And so 40%. That's nothing to sneeze at. It's very good.
Yes.
All right, so we kind of talked about some players. We're not going to talk about all the players, but let's talk about the thing that sort of like loomed over the entire season. Let's talk about James Wade.
Yes. That was such a disappointment.
Yeah.
It was like you let all the air out of the balloon when this happened. And it was like, where are we going to go from here? I mean, we know James Wade was an awesome coach. And we know he loved his team. And he did whatever he felt was necessary to put them in a place where they could win. Whether they won was a different story. But he did try to put them in a place where they could win. So when he left, I think the players also felt let down, as well as the fans. But we know he had to do what he needed to do, because everybody's looking for a promotion of some sort. So you can't blame him for doing what he did. It was just the timing. If it could have been more so towards the end of the season, but it was almost at the middle where they was starting to struggle at some point, and they needed that stability of him being at the helm, as they say. But we accepted it, I think. Well, I accepted it maybe like 2 or 3 games after the fact. It was like, if James Wade was here, he would have did this. Just kept saying these different things. If James Wade were here, he'll do this, And then I had to come to mind, he's not here. So got to get over that. And the Sky has to go on, because the season is not over. But that's kind of like where I was.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, James Wade was the head coach and general manager of the Sky. He left that position and became a assistant coach for the Toronto Raptors. So for those who are like, that's not a promotion. It is, though. We all know. I know that, like, we are huge women's basketball fans. We love it. But we all know that there is more money all across the board when it comes to the NBA. And so while he's lower in status in terms of like the team, an assistant coach isn't as powerful, as a GM and head coach. But going into the NBA, more money. Also, it's more prominence, more importance, and more exposure. As much as as us as women's basketball fans don't necessarily like to admit that, it's the truth. So it is what it is. I was bummed that he left. But it is what it is. When he left the Sky, we were 7-9. So we weren't even doing that well. And there was actually some rumors around if the Sky keeps stinking it up, like, are they going to get rid of James Wade? And then he left. Emery Vatansever, he was the assistant coach for the Sky at the time. He became the interim GM and head coach for the Chicago Sky. He finished the rest of the season 11-13. And so initially I was like, oh man, the Sky's going to be so much worse because James Wade's a good coach. But I thought Emery did a good job.
He did a good job.
He did. I am not upset about Emery. Yes, there was some mistakes that he made, and I'm like, you should have did this or whatever. But like overall,
But he was an intern.
he did
coach.
he did a fine job.
Yeah.
He did a fine job. He got us to the playoffs. So I would say nothing to sneeze at about that. He did the best that he could as someone who was not ready
to be a head coach.
At least in this season. I believe he is a head coach overseas, but the WNBA is a lot different. So one thing that I would say about James Wade that I was bummed about, and I still am, is not the fact that he left as a coach, whatever. It's the fact that the Chicago Sky had the GM and head coach position tied. So when you lost the head coach, you also lost the person who was like leading the whole strategy. So if you remember, the Chicago Sky traded away our future for Marina Mabrey last offseason. We basically don't have any picks. We traded away our first, second, and third round pick, all because of Marina, and that's fine if he was able to continue with whatever his grand plan was. But now that he's gone, it's like, okay, well, what truly was the strategy behind getting Marina Mabrey? And yeah, that's kind of like that's the problem that I have, is that he traded away our future and then bounced. Which, do him. I'm very happy that he's getting his money, all that stuff. But also, it's kind of like, dang, man, like you were the guy, like
you were the one.
If you were just the head coach, it's fine. Mm-hmm. But for the head coach and GM, which is why most WNBA teams no longer have the head coach and GM have the same position, because you're losing two positions when one person leaves.
Well, not only that, they have two different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
The GM thinks about the team in the future, whereas the coach is talking about their main job is like right now, that season, how to make the team better, and as far as if a player needs training or something like that, that's what their mindset is. But the GM really thinks about money, thinks about talent, how they can put it together. The coach's job is to put it together and make it work. Mm-hmm. So it's two different perspectives. So it should always be two jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And supposedly that's going to be what's going to happen in the future. So yeah, that's that. Let's talk a little bit more about head coach, GM for the Chicago Sky. So it was announced that the Chicago Sky are not moving forward with Emery as the interim GM and head coach. He will be out of both of those positions. And they are interviewing to figure out who they're going to hire. Okay. And Kahleah Copper, in one of her exit interviews, she stated that the Sky told her that the head coach position and the GM position are going to be split from now on for the Chicago Sky, which is great news for us to hear. And a person that I think is going to get the job, and I said this before I saw reporting that said that they were interviewing her, is Teresa Weatherspoon. Teresa Weatherspoon is a very, very awesome former player. She previously was a assistant coach for the New Orleans Pelicans. Overall, she's great. You all might remember Teresa Weatherspoon from when she played for the New York Liberty. There's a lot of like WNBA highlights that feature Teresa Weatherspoon. She's a great player. And she also is a coach. And so I want her to be our head coach.
Okay.
I think she's one of those coaches that can connect really well with the players.
Okay.
And I just like her. Overall, I just like her. It was reported in the Sun Times. Shout out to the Sun Times if y'all not checking in on the Sun Times. It's a great way to find out about what's happening with the Chicago Sky, because Annie Constable is the Sky beat reporter, and she just does a great job. So because of her, she wrote an article about them interviewing Teresa Weatherspoon, and so it made me excited, because before I found out about them interviewing her, I was like, my goal for the Chicago Sky would be to get Teaspoon because I think she's just great. To me, that's the only person on my list of potential coaches is Teaspoon.
Now, do you think that Dwayne Wade would have an influence as to who that new coach is going to be?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. And I think if he had a vote, he'd probably put his money on Teaspoon also.
Okay.
Because the NBA does give cachet for the WNBA. And you know, Teresa Weatherspoon was with the Pelicans organization. And that helps her.
Yes, it does.
That proves that, like, hey, if the NBA hired her,
why can't we?
I mean, look at Becky Hammond.
That's true.
Like,
yeah.
look at Becky Hammond. Becky Hammond was an assistant coach for Greg Popovich in the San Antonio Spurs. She was never a head coach.
Right.
But
look what she's done with her team.
Yes, but also the only reason the Aces gave her that opportunity is because of her NBA assistant coach position. That's the only reason. And I think Teaspoon...
Well, she got that exposure, too, because of that.
Yes.
It really is about exposure, and I think that's one of the reasons why those ladies do take those assistant coaches' positions in the NBA, because it does expose them to the WNBA, the NBA, if they want to go further. Because we don't have a woman NBA coach, and we're probably a long way off from that, but at some point we could have a woman as an NBA coach.
Becky has been, I think there was one position where Becky did interview for the NBA head coach position. I think if we get a woman head coach in the NBA, it'll be her.
It would be her. But I'm saying that'll be the start of another trend, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And, women make awesome coaches, because most of us are mothers. So mothers coach children into doing the things they need to make them do. That's part of our skill set, if you will. So
that's the time. That's the time. Motherhood equals great basketball coach.
Well, coaching. What is coaching really about, though, Marquita?
Yeah, convincing someone that they can do something.
All right, now.
And instructing them.
Isn't that what mothers do all the time? All right. Now.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a mother. So.
I know, but I'm a mother, so I'm telling you, that's what we've done. So it would be a good thing, but in the interim right now, the Sky getting a awesome head coach is key to their success next year. We don't want another year like we just had where we were good sometimes, not so good. We want a solid year.
Yes,
where we can be a contender for the championship again. Yes, we had Candace Parker when we won, but we don't have to have a Candace Parker to be a championship team. You just have to have good, solid, consistent players that want to leave it on the floor.
And a coach that can inspire them.
Exactly.
And make it work.
Yeah, you got to have a great coach that is not argumentative, but compliment. Help them to grow without demeaning them. So you got to have somebody with that believes in them. They have a what do you call that when they're not? I'm trying to think of a word, but when they're not insecure.
Oh,
you need a coach that is secure in themselves, in their own
self-assured.
Self-assured. You don't need nobody that is worried about somebody else getting over them because they insecure about their own self. And it's just like, no, that's not what they need. So hopefully they got the off season now. They got time.
They have time, but not really. Also, a note, Teresa Weatherspoon actually was a head coach in college. Okay. She was the head coach for Louisiana Tech.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
She was a coach for Louisiana Tech for several years. I think it was like at least 5 years. She was head coach. Okay. And I think she left in like 2014. 2014. And then eventually got with the New Orleans Pelicans. So she does have head coach experience, though. Coaching in the WNBA is very different than coaching in college. So it'll still be a little bit of a
learning curve.
Yes, correct. One of the things I will say is that the Sky need to hire that head coach position as soon as possible. And the only reason I say that is because that sort of leads us to our next topic, which is GM Quita and GM Mama. So the head coach needs to get it put in place because the Sky season is already over. The WNBA finals will be here before we know it.
Right.
And it's going to be recruiting time to get free agents to choose the Chicago Sky. Now, if the Chicago Sky is still in limbo with their head coach and even GM position, I think it prevents free agents that are very good from choosing to come to the Sky when they're like, you have no head coach.
Right. You don't know what direction you're going in.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm hopeful that the Sky will get that figured out. So yeah, let's put on our hats and let's if we had a magic wand and we were in charge of the Chicago Sky next season, and it was our job to make the Chicago Sky a contending team, what would we do? So before we get into that, let's kind of refresh ourselves of what's going on with the Chicago Sky. So next season, for the 2024 draft, we only have one pick in the draft next season. We have the Phoenix Mercury's second round pick.
Okay.
Because the Sky traded away their first, second, and third pick. That's going to Dallas, New York, and Phoenix in that order. But we will have the second round pick for the Phoenix Mercury next season. So one pick in the draft. All right. With that being said, here are the people who are unrestricted free agents for the Chicago Sky. So we have quite a few people on our team who are unrestricted free agents. We have Courtney Williams, who is an unrestricted free agent. We have Alana Smith, Ruthy Hebard. We have Morgan Bertsch, who Robyn Parks, and Stu Dufall, though I don't think she's ever coming back to the U.S. We also that's what we have.
What's the young lady name that used to wear the was it the goggles? What did she wear?
Who used to wear the goggles?
No, not the goggles. She wore something.
Oh,
face mask.
Sika Koné?
Yeah.
From this season?
Yeah.
Sika Koné.
So
Sika is, what is Sika? Sika is, she's actually signed with the Sky next season.
Oh, so she is coming back.
She is, though, she's one of those players that, it's an unprotected, salary. So the Sky can waive her at any point and not have to pay her.
Oh, that ain't nice.
She's unprotected.
Oh, that ain't nice.
Well, yeah, it's basketball. It is what it is. So yeah,
I did like her. I knew she was new to professional basketball, but I think all she needs is the right coach to develop her.
She does. Yes, she has potential.
Yes, she really does. But she's kind of like all over the place in some sense, and she does have a level of talent. But she needs somebody to kind of like guide her, really, really guide her. And she needs somebody to work with her directly, give her undivided attention, because I think she could really be that promise of that surprise player, if you will, for next season. So unfortunately, she's unprotected. But
I mean, she's still signed with the Sky, so they could just keep her. But if they don't want to keep her, they could just cut her if they want. Okay. Yeah, it is what it is, I guess. So, you want to go first or want me to go first?
Well,
for GM.
Well, if I was GM, I would keep Courtney.
Okay.
I will keep Alanna. I'm not sure who was the other ones that are.
Marina's coming back. Isabelle Harrison is coming back.
But I'm talking about the ones that are they're free agents.
Oh, Ruthy.
So I would let Ruthy go.
Rebekah Gardner.
I want Rebekah to stay.
Morgan Bertsch. Robyn Parks.
Robyn, I'm always iffy about her because I think she has potential too, but she's not consistent.
Also, she wasn't getting consistent minutes.
That could
But when she did come in, she can shoot threes. Right. So.
And Morgan, she didn't get a lot of minutes either.
She didn't. Yeah.
So I'm kind of like on the fence with both of those two. But Rebekah Gardner, I would love to see her come back. I love me some Rebekah Gardner. I'm going to tell you why I really love her. I even bought her jersey. And then when she got hurt that first game, I was so hurt. I was like, I'm going to wear her jersey. She's not going to be on the floor. But I would love to see her come back. I would love to see Courtney come back. And I would love to see Alanna come back. Now, I think if I was a GM, I really need a big man. Mm-hmm. We really need a big man. Somebody that's big, powerful, and strong.
Yeah.
We need somebody that can protect our rim.
Elizabeth Williams not enough for you?
No. I would keep her, but she wouldn't be my starter.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay? Because she did play her heart out.
She did, yeah.
But I don't think she's big enough for what the rest of the WNBA has to offer when it comes to protecting the rim. Mm-hmm. So definitely a big man. And I think we need to strengthen our bench.
Yeah.
Our bench is not as strong as it needs to be, because it should be that if one of your players get hurt, yes, you're going to bring somebody off the bench, but that person you bring off the bench should be flawless as far as how they fit in as far as the pieces are going. We don't need somebody that, I'm going to put you in just because I don't have a choice. We don't need that kind of mentality. Mm-hmm. And we don't need players that think of themselves in that way. Yeah. I'm just filling in because they hurt for a moment, we'll give them a rest. No, we need people that's going to come in and do like Dana Evans do. We need more Dana Evans.
Yes.
That's what I'll say.
Yes.
Off the bench. So if I was GM, I would keep those three that I said. I would keep Courtney, I would keep Alanna, and I would keep Rebekah. Mm-hmm. I would keep those three. And I would find a big man that can protect the rim. And I would strengthen my bench by getting only players that can play like Dana Evans, either good on offense or good on defense. Mm-hmm. That's what I would do.
Okay. And of course, you're going to keep Copper, of course.
Oh, yeah. The players that's already there, yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get rid of Marina or Copper.
Would you get rid of Isabelle Harrison?
Haven't seen enough of Isabelle to make a determination besides preseason. That's all I saw of her. Okay. And I didn't know her before that. So I can't make a decision about her.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. All right, GM Mama. What y'all think about Mama's decisions? If she was the GM, would y'all trust the Chicago Sky if she was the GM?
I would love to hear what you think.
Let us know in the comments. So my turn to do GM. So of course, keeping Copper, Mabrey, Elizabeth Williams, Dana Evans, of course. I would also keep Sika Koné if you can get a coach like Teaspoon, who I think can develop her. If you don't have a coach that's focused on development, don't bring back. Do not keep Sika Koné. I think Sika Koné has a ton of potential. I could see her as an all-star in 3 years. Mm-hmm. I really could. Yes. She has so much potential, but she is out of control. Right. And she needs a coach that can guide her and form her into the player that she's projected to be. Mm-hmm. And so yes, Sika, depending on whoever you have as a coach. I would try my best to get Skylar Diggins-Smith to join the Chicago Sky. Mm-hmm. Skylar Diggins-Smith is amazing. We all know the issues that she's having with the Phoenix Mercury. She's not returning back to the Phoenix Mercury. She is a free agent. I think, she's signed with Puma. And so because of the brand she's signed with, I think she needs to be in a visible enough city. So while I think Skylar Diggins-Smith would be great for the Indiana Fever, mm-hmm. I don't think she's going to Indiana because it's in Indiana. I think maybe she goes to LA, but also LA has Jordan Canada. Maybe LA doesn't need Skylar Diggins. And so it makes me think that Chicago feels, of course Chicago can use her, but also it feels like a somewhat realistic option because Chicago is a huge city. Skylar Diggins does a lot of modeling and whatnot, so there's a lot of opportunities for her to kind of do her own personal stuff while playing basketball for us. So if I am the GM of the Chicago Sky, I'm trying to do anything in my power to get Skylar Diggins-Smith to sign with the Sky.
Okay.
If Skylar Diggins-Smith signs with the Sky, I am not bringing back Courtney Williams. I love Courtney Williams. I really do. I love Courtney Williams. I do. But if you have Skylar Diggins, you don't need Courtney because who's going to be the first kind of guard off the bench? Like I can't see Courtney and Dana coming off the bench.
No, they both can't.
Because both of them are short.
Right.
And so if you need Dana coming off the bench and then another guard that is taller coming off the bench. Like I can totally see the starting lineup as Skylar Diggins-Smith, Marina Mabrey as the 2, Copper as the 3. I agree with your assessment of bringing another big. I like E-Will, but I don't see her as the starting center for the Chicago Sky. I like her a lot. I do. But maybe you try to convince a player like a Nneka Ogwumike to come to the Sky.
Wow.
Nneka Ogwumike is a unrestricted free agent for the LA Sparks this season. She has been with the Sparks her entire career, but Candace Parker left the Sparks.
Sure did.
I mean, the Sparks are trying to figure out a new identity, and while Nneka is a huge piece of the LA Sparks, I don't know if she is the future of the LA Sparks and what they're trying to develop.
Okay.
So, yes, she's great, and she'll be phenomenal with LA next year if she decides to sign back with them. But if I'm the Sky, I think I have a chance
of getting her.
I think I have a chance, and I am going to do whatever I can in my power and have Nneka Ogwumike be the starting center for the Chicago Sky. And I would bring back Alanna Smith. I would have Alanna Smith be the starting power forward.
Okay.
For the Chicago Sky next season.
Okay.
I am on the fence about trading Izzy. She's a protected veteran. So if you cut her, you're going to have to pay her. So don't cut her. But I would trade her for draft picks or something. I would trade her for something. I don't know what, I can't imagine her really being traded for anything other than draft picks unless it's like a 3-team trade.
Okay.
And maybe we get, someone who's an unprotected, player, like a unprotected salary. Maybe we can get somebody like that and then we can cut them or whatever. But I think we need to remove Izzy. I like her. However, as a Sky fan, I feel a type of way about Izzy never being there.
Right. We didn't know she was still part of the team or not.
She got hurt, which was very unfortunate. And I know rehab and whatnot, but Rebekah Gardner
was there.
And Izzy, I saw Izzy, I think at 2 home games the entire season. And I go to every single game. Maybe I missed her at 1 or 2, but 2 games, I saw her there. She was also, very active at All-Star Weekend and whatnot in Vegas. And I believe she was there for the playoff games, but
the home games. To
me, it says a lot, and maybe there's reasons that I don't know about right now. So if y'all know why Izzy wasn't there, let me know. I may change my mind, but as someone who really values team and sort of players being there for each other, even if they physically can't be on the court, still being there, still cheering them on. And she was on social media. She was a good teammate, cheering her team on and whatnot. But I feel like you got to be there. And it's something about, there was a disconnect with me seeing her not be there.
I forgot she was even part of the team because Rebekah would be on her knee walker with her knee up there, and Ruthy was still in trying to come back, and she was there all the time, and they're in the midst of the team, always cheering them on. So I totally agree with you on that. You know, you got to be with the team all the way.
Yeah, I think if Izzy was kind of like Rebekah Gardner and sort of like being there with the team and being present, maybe I wouldn't cut her. But I don't like it. I really don't.
So there is no
that you just sort of like checked out.
So there's no requirement that even if they're hurt that they have to be.
No.
Oh, I think that needs to change. If because unless you're laid up where you can't get up, you're going everywhere else you want to go, even if you're rehabbing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come to the home games. No, I'm not expecting you to go to the away games, but you should be at the home games, cheering on your team. Like I said, Rebekah Gardner, you saw her.
Home and away, Rebekah was there.
You saw her.
She was there.
And everybody knows she was still rehabbing, but that did not stop her from cheering on her team. And she will always be part of the huddle. She just stayed in there.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Ruthy. Ruthy stayed in there.
Since you mentioned Ruthy, let's talk about Ruthy.
Okay. We were like, Ruthy!
I like Ruthy. I really do. But in my GM hat, assuming we get NECA, assuming
we get Diggins.
we get Skylar Diggins. I don't keep Ruthy. I let her go to another team. I think Ruthy's talented. I really do like her, but the Sky won't need another center if we get a player like NECA. Right. If we don't, and Elizabeth Williams is our starting center, yes, keep Ruthy.
But if we do keep Ruthy, we got to develop her some more.
Yeah.
Because her coming off the bench, she did give offense, but she don't have any defense.
Yeah, she's a bit of a pushover on defense.
On defense,
she needs to get a lot stronger.
Well, I thought she was.
She's better. Yeah,
she's better now. But I'm saying I thought she was better before on defense than she is now. And I think it was the opposite way. She didn't have any offense before, and she had defense. Now she got offense and no defense.
Yeah. So,
and if you're going to be the center, you need both.
Yeah.
You need to be able, and her being able to get that ball. She got a lot of baskets that we didn't think she was going to get. So she was getting the offense.
Also, the reason why she was getting most of those baskets is because her best friend Dana Evans was passing her the ball.
But
Dana was looking for her friend.
But Dana may have been passing her the ball, but there have been time in the past she would get past the ball and she would miss that layup.
Correct. Yes.
So this year she did an awesome job. When they would bring her in, she got points. Sometimes up to 6 points. I'm like, well, go on, girl.
She has improved, and I like Ruthy.
I love Ruthy,
but
her defense
in my scenario of getting
GM,
I wouldn't bring her back because if you have like a NECA starting and you have like E-Will coming off the bench, you don't need a third center. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I think you have and then for like power forward it's Alanna Smith is our starting power forward. And I think what you do is we wait and see what training camp has to offer. So every year tons of people get drafted in WNBA.
Right.
And they get cut. So I think there will be some top there will be some very quality power forwards that will possibly be drafted in the first round, or you got Mr. President Bertsch. This dog. I think there's gonna be some quality big men who are drafted in the late first round and early second round that will be cut.
Because we saw it this year. We saw more people.
Every year
I think this was the worst cut that I've seen of quality players get cut. I was just like, no, they didn't get cut, and they did.
I think this was the first this was one of the biggest years of very visible players that a lot of people knew about getting cut.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
I think it was about. I think more people. I feel like more people made it this season than in years past. But like there was a lot of people that we knew that were big in the NCAA, especially in the tournament that was cut, and I think that kind of like brought a lot of uproar to it all. But yeah, I think we wait and see what the draft can give us and who gets cut that we can pick up. I think for just other bench players, of course, Dana Evans is our number one 6 man off the bench every game. I think we try to see who we can pick up as like a shooting guard and as a small forward. Yeah, I don't know. It sort of depends on like what the draft, what happens in the draft, basically. I could totally see a scenario where the Sky. Oh, also I didn't mention this, but Rebekah Gardner, in my GM scenario, Rebekah Gardner is coming back to the Chicago Sky.
That's it.
Coming back, and it ends up being it's Dana Evans first off the bench, Rebekah Gardner second off the bench. And then you see what you can get as for like the shooting guard position. If Courtney Williams is open to being a shooting guard and developing her 3-point shot even more, maybe I bring her back as a shooting guard.
Okay.
If that's not going to be the case,
you let her go.
I let her go. Because our starting point guard in my scenario is Skylar Diggins-Smith. So we don't need her for a point guard because off the bench you have Dana Evans. I don't know. I really like Courtney Williams.
I know.
So I don't want to have her not be on the team. However, I think we need a taller shooting guard who can make some things happen, and I think we can actually get that in the draft. Yes, we won't pick them, but they'll get picked probably in the first round. They'll get cut, and then we can sweep them up, bring them on into our fold, and have them play for us. I think Nneka and Skylar could make us a very talented team. I don't know if Nneka comes here, but also Jonquel Jones, who plays for the New York Liberty, is going to be a free agent next season. Jonquel Jones, if the New York Liberty does not win this year, if they don't win the WNBA championship, I think Jonquel leaves. I do.
How long has she been there?
1 year. Yeah, she's with the Connecticut Sun. She signed a 1 year deal.
The Suns. Okay.
Yep. I think
she would be. She would be a beast for us.
She'd be great.
Woo.
She would be great.
But she's the kind of center that I'm saying we need.
Yes.
If it's not her, we need somebody that has the same tenacity, same type of build.
Yeah.
And can score. Not just defend, can score as well. So that would be.
Yeah, she's an unrestricted free agent. Also, Brittany Griner is an unrestricted free agent. Though Brittany Griner's not leaving.
No, she's
not leaving the Phoenix Mercury at all because the way that they rode for her last season while she was in Russia, I don't see her leaving. I don't see her leaving.
And I don't think it would be good for her to leave.
Yeah, she has roots in Phoenix.
Yeah.
I think it's probably best for her just to stay there. But we could have a chance with Jonquel Jones if the New York Liberty don't win. Also, another thing to note, we don't have a chance for them on this one, but I'm just saying it. Brianna Stewart is a unrestricted free agent after this season. I'm not sure if she leaves if they don't make it. Like if they don't win, I feel like Jonquel Jones would leave. But I'm not sure if Brianna Stewart will leave. But if she does,
she would be an awesome player too.
She would, of course, be an awesome player. I love her. I don't know if she picks the Sky, but she would be a great player. I just wanted to mention that just so we, for the record, we know who's a free agent that we could have a chance for and who's not. But yeah, overall, I think the draft, see who's out there, and pick some players up. Also, I think the Sky has done a really good job. James Wade has done a good job of like picking foreign players not foreign players, American players who are playing overseas, or sometimes like foreign players as well. We got,
because that's how you got Rebekah.
We got Rebekah overseas. Rebekah was not in the WNBA, and we picked her up. So like, I think whoever we get as a GM, once you hire the next GM, fly them to Europe, ASAP.
Get down, boy.
And have them go to Turkey. Have them go to London. Have them go to all the places where
scout them out.
Scout and pick some players up on the cheap. We got Rebekah Gardner on the cheap because no one was checking for her. Go to Europe. That's what I would do if I was GM Quita. I would go to Europe, try to build the rest of the pieces from overseas and from leftovers from the draft. Let them fight it out in training camp and see who comes out on top.
And it's still only 12 players.
Yeah, maximum. Okay. Yeah. Though if the Chicago Sky get Skylar Diggins and NECA, we're gonna have 11. We're not gonna have 11 for 12. Okay, dog. All right. So yeah, that's basically it, right? We talked about everything that we wanted to talk about. We talked about we did a season in review. We talked about the new coach and GM thoughts. And we also put on our GM hats and talked about what we would do if we were in charge, which Chicago Sky, if y'all listening, y'all need to
listen to some of our advice.
Y'all need to listen to our advice. Like we know what we're talking about. We've been Sky fans for forever, basically. Yeah, listen to us. Listen to us. Especially listen to Mama. She got some good stuff. She got some good stuff.
You didn't expect me to say the things I said, did you?
Nah. All right, guys, that marks the end of the Talking Sky with Mom podcast. But wait, I know I mentioned at the beginning that we were going to have a special announcement, so here it is. So yes, this officially marks the end of the season of the Talking Sky with Mom podcast because the Chicago Sky season is over, and that's what this podcast was about, talking about the Chicago Sky. And but me and Mama love talking about women's basketball, and we want to continue to record those for you all. So me and Mama will be making the trip to Iowa City on October the 15th to watch Iowa play DePaul. And this is not just a normal, regular game. They will be playing on a football field, which is going to be very, very exciting. So again, this event is going to be on October the 15th. It's going to be called Crossover at Kinnick. I'm not saying that name right. It's the name of the University of Iowa football stadium. And this is going to be the first time in program history Iowa women's basketball team will host an outdoor scrimmage at the football stadium. So this is going to be a big, big deal. And me and Mama are going to go. We're going to cover that game live. And we're just going to let you all know what's going on. We're going to tell you the sights and sounds about the game. And Mama is very excited to watch Caitlin Clark.
Yes, I love Caitlin. That girl is awesome.
Yeah, she's very good. And so we will be going to that game. So stay tuned. If you want to know what's happening at that game, stay tuned. We're gonna go live for part of it. I don't know if we're gonna we may do a live before the game starts and maybe after the game, just sort of letting you all know like what the scene looks like. We all remember Nebraska women's volleyball team. Like they had that game where it was like, I think it was like 80,000 plus fans came out to watch Nebraska women's volleyball play on a football stadium. And so now this is Iowa's women's basketball's chance to kind of come up with a gimmick. It is a gimmick. It is. Yes, it's a real game, but it's also a gimmick to just show the power of Iowa women's basketball. Women's basketball in Iowa is huge.
Yes, it is.
Iowan fans love the Hawkeyes, and they love watching Caitlin Clark and others play basketball. And so I think this game is going to, have thousands and thousands of people attend. It's going to be a big deal. And it just shows the power that a small state can have when it comes to women's sports. We saw it with Nebraska, Nebraska doesn't really have any pro sports at all, I don't think.
No, I don't think they do.
But Nebraska volleyball is huge. Iowa doesn't really have any pro sports. I think there's a minor league baseball team that's in Iowa. But Iowa, University of Iowa is huge. Like, people love Iowa football. Also, people love Iowa women's basketball. And so this is a great showing of the fan base in Iowa. It's going to be a good game. They're playing DePaul. They're going to destroy DePaul. It's not going to be very competitive, I don't think. But it'll be fun.
But you never know.
I mean, yeah, you never know. You never know. But it'll be a fun time. We're going to be recording live from there. So check out for that. It's going to be a special edition of... maybe it'll just be talking basketball with Mom. Maybe that's what we'll call it. Also, the NCAA season is coming up. And so from time to time, me and Mom, we're going to be talking about the games. We're going to talk about, when South Carolina plays UConn. We're probably going to talk about it.
Yeah.
South Carolina and Notre Dame are going to Paris, I believe, to play some basketball.
Oh.
So we may make an episode about that. So keep it posted on what we do. Of course, you all know that I make videos all the time, but like, y'all love when Mama be talking about basketball. Like, I see y'all comments. Y'all like, where's Mama at? She's so great. As long as Mama wants to make some videos, we'll be talking about the women's basketball game.
It's fun, y'all.
It is fun. And we love ourselves some women's basketball. We love all sports, frankly.
Yeah,
but women's basketball has a very, very, very special place in our hearts. But yeah, thank y'all so much for watching. I know this was a long episode, so thank y'all for sticking in to the end and hearing that special announcement. If you all have stuff that you specifically want Mama's feedback on, let us know in the comments, and I will see if she'll be able to make a video on what y'all wanted to make a video about. GM Mama is kind of cool. So like, if y'all want her to be GM for another team, let us know, and maybe she'll give her input on it. But thank y'all so much for watching. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. If you haven't liked this video, please like it. It helps us share with more people. If you know people who are passionate about women's basketball, love the Sky, share this video with them. Let them know that there are people on YouTube that are talking about women's basketball. And we're not dogging women's basketball. We're talking about the awesome stuff about women's basketball. There's a lot of negativity, I feel, around women's basketball. Like, just people just dogging it and saying how it's trash and whatnot. But like, it's our goal to celebrate the awesomeness of women's basketball and also be real about the realities of women's basketball and whatnot. And so that's what we try to do. Thank y'all for rocking with us. We really appreciate it. Mama, you got anything you want to say to the people?
Thank you all for watching.
All right, guys. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.